Hey folks, this is the Lethal Mullet, and tonight here on episode number 322 we're going to be looking at chips. Not Samboy's chips, not barbecue rings, not anything close to packeted chips. We're talking about, of course, the California Highway Patrol. That's right, from back in the old days of the 70s, 80s. This was a show which Australia really just ate up. I mean, it's not our police. It's the police from the United States. In California, on those pretty cool bikes, you know. There's a period where Mad Max made motorcycles really cool again. A number of different Australian motorcycle movies out here as well. Very, very popular, by the way. And chips came along and became that cool thing, you know. It was... Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada just hooning around and doing their thing. There's quite a bit to this series. Now, the caveat is I have not seen this series in a long time. And obviously before this episode, wanted to check out the show. And it's very 70s, very early 80s. There's no getting around it. This is what that was. So we'll be getting into that tonight, all here on the show. Hope you're ready as we get into Lethal Mullet. Here we go.
Light, camera, action. Where's the mullet? Where is he? He's coming in by chopper.
And now, live from Quinlan's Cantina in the Gold Coast of Australia, it's time again for your dose of action cinema history from the 80s, 90s, and beyond with the Lethal Mullet Podcast. Money, go.
All right, thanks. Thank you very much out there, those that are cheering on here tonight as we look at chips. And before we get into that, we've got a little bit of news and obviously some things to chat about as we get into a new week here on Lethal. We've got quite a few video shows coming out on the YouTube channel. It's, of course, Fandom Podcast Network. You may have heard of that channel before. It is run by two co-owners, of course. One being Kyle Wagner, all the way from the east side of the United States. And on the west side, west side is the best. East side is the best. No. On the west side, of course, in lovely SoCal, we have Kevin the Radio Nerd Ratzel. And of course, they have this amazing channel. And actually, only recently, I had a chance to jump on one of their shows, however briefly, sadly, as I've had some stuff going on here at home. And along with their dear friend and friend of course, Dan Hadley, Gary Akers. And we talked about Sean Connery's Outland. So that episode will be coming out soonish. And of course, it's going to be a great little episode for all of you to eat up and enjoy. Particularly we're looking at some great stuff there. It is a great little, run it, obviously, that fantastic time, if you like. And of course, I enjoy all that sort of stuff. So we'll be looking at Sean Connery, much, much more, of course, when we get to it. So, what else can we tell you? We'll tell you one thing that is coming up for you to check out, which is a rewind episode looking at Kroll. Yes, this Tim had to do an AI poster of it. Why not? Because I love Kroll. Why not? Kroll's awesome. And I mean, it may be my take on it, whatever you want to call it. But Kroll's a fantastic, movie. There's a great Blu-ray of it out now as well. Even the DVD, to be honest, was quite good as well. You got the digital comic of the old adaptation they did. And I'm one of the few people that actually bought the one piece of merch you could bloody well get from it, which was the board game. Now, this is a real hybrid of different ideas of classic fantasy, high fantasy to a certain extent. There's a bit of The Hobbit to this. There's definitely a Star Wars angle. And the glaive was just freaking cool. And I remember years ago in primary school, so this is going back to when I was like 11 or 12, whatever it was. And we were on a school camp. And one of my friends said, have you seen that movie Kroll a few years back? We would have been in grade 3 when Kroll came out. And I said, Yeah, I've seen it on TV. I think I saw it with the Firemares and all that sort of stuff, and Liam Neeson was in it, and Robert Coltrane for like 2 seconds, and the crazy dude from Dune, you know, with the "Do you fear what? Do fear what? Do you fear?" Yes, bring a weirding module. That guy. Great actor. He's pretty good at this. And this he plays kind of the Obi-Wan Kenobi or Merlin character, if you like. But yeah, and then Coleman was just a cool dude. I'm surprised the actor, who was a very serious actor, I think, did a pretty damn good job as the hero. And I thought it was believable. It was the swordplay was more classic swordplay, which I like. I've always liked, that, I guess, rapier style to a certain extent. I mean, it's more broadsword, I guess, to a certain extent. But it's really well done, and this is a beautiful looking film still to this day. I think it gets a little bit lost in what the beast is, and it's such a hybrid of fantasy, maybe a little bit of Tolkien, not much, but a little bit, and then mashed with this sort of dark space fantasy. So it's an odd duck. I put it up there with Dark Crystal. It's odd, but I love it. And so Kyle and I did a show back in 2020, and we currently have that as a rewind episode up on the page to go and check that out. Now, this movie's been out for a while. Yes, I'm not in the movie, but that horse is. I can tell you that much. That damn horse is in that movie, and it's stuck in the sand. Yeah, I do question Nolan's choice of having this horse in the sand. Like, I'm sorry, but the Archaeans, or the Greeks, so yes, the Atreides, yes, see how the June is literally a Homer movie. But what's great about what Wolfgang Peterson did is, I mean, this is obviously more like that. This is not Nolan's idea. You look at what he came up with. He had this horse that definitely looked like it came from parts of a ship. Now, yeah, granted, they've been there for 10 years at that siege, right? How the hell do they refine it to look like it does in the movie? So, I mean, it's a little bit too clean in the movie, the horse, but give props, I like it. And look, the whole thing with Sign-On now, that character, I'm not even talking about the casting, I'm just talking about the character here. That should have been Achilles, straight up. Because the whole idea is if you have read the Odyssey, and guess what, folks, there it is. There's the Odyssey. I've always got a copy around. I love that. As a writer, it's one of my favorite stories, hands down. It's good enough for Ulysses, not the book, 31. And one of the things is that when he goes to, of course, hell, Hades, basically, it is actually Achilles' spirit that he sees, right? So there's a couple of choices here and there that I think Nolan, yeah. But I'm going to go and see the film again. I only saw it the first time when it came out. I've had a chance to let that sort of simmer. And then when I get back from that, we're going to be doing a pretty big spoiler episode. We'll really rip into what the movie's all about. The other review I did of this was pretty much a non-spoiler. But I mean, crikey, how long has this story been around for, folks? I mean, a few thousand years. So there's that too. Now, more TV on the way. We've got a show that you've probably all forgotten. This in the 80s was one of the greats. This was right up there on a Tuesday or Wednesday night back in like 83, 84, whatever the hell it was that came out. This is the thing that I'm going to go enjoy, is actually looking back up when these were actually hitting Australian screens, because it probably was about 84, 85 for us. Simon and Simon, fantastic show, which was basically a private investigator show, murder mystery, detective, whatever, that sort of stuff. But there was a bit of a cowboy angle, a bit of a businessman angle. Gerald McRaney, if I remember, was the dude in it as well. Great show. I really enjoyed it. And that was one of the ones I do remember fondly. at the time of like Battlestar Galactica, of obviously the one we're talking about tonight, CHiPs, and many of those great shows. A-Team, I mean, what a time to grow up. I really feel sorry for this current generation going through really crappy TV. I mean, it really is. Sorry, folks, but you're missing some of the greats. Back in the day, these were the bomb. These were a fantastic, great show to check out, and particularly this one. I really enjoyed it, which will lead us, obviously, to CHiPs itself in a second. So, CHiPs has even had a movie version out there now too, which, I mean, for all that it's had and done, I think it's a fantastic, I guess reboot to a certain extent. I didn't feel the adrenaline rush that I did as a kid in that, so we'll talk about that too. But before we do that, we're going to let you know where you can catch this show and, of course, many others like it. Of course, that is on the one, the only, Lethal Mullet. So, here you go, folks. Are you ready?
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
G'day, mate. Follow the Lethal Mullet here on Fandom Podcast Network's Master Channel at fpnet.podbean.com or subscribe on the Podbean app where you can find all the shows. Blood of Kings, Highlander Podcast, Culture Clash, a weekly look at pop culture. You look at Making Tricks, a Star Trek fan podcast. And also check out the Mullet Guild, a look at the Dune universe from the Lethal Mullet. You can also check out this show and all the others like What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast, Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast, Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, and much more. All on FPN. You can follow on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all podcatchers. Make sure you follow me, the Lethal Mullet, at the Lethal Mullet on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Oh, I love that bit, don't you? All right, folks, here we go. So we're going to be talking about, of course, CHiPs. Let's get into it. So, 2 blokes, 2 bikes, and more freeway pile-ups than the M1 on a long weekend. Well, might get something onto that. I loved CHiPs, as a kid. It made me want to get the little motorbikes you could get from Hot Wheels or whatever it was. It was something that, was on the go. Police were cool at the time on the TV. And, I mean, you had Miami Vice, other things like that. They're really, really popular. So this was a show that was right up there. So picture this, Los Angeles, 1977. The sun is out. The sky is brown with smog. 2 blokes with skin-tight tan uniforms, aviator sunglasses and helmets. And they look like they're borrowed from Darth Vader's weekend job. And they're doing 100 mile an hour down this freeway. And, of course, they're going to help something. 15-car pileup, possibly. Could be a shootout. Who knows? No seatbelts. No safety. No high-vis, just teeth, hair, and testosterone. There to check it out. G'day, legends. This is episode 322, and yes, we are talking CHiPs. We are really getting into it, folks. So, obviously, Lethal Mullet Podcast. Podcast still reckons a feathered haircut is a form of sun protection. Yes, it'll look after you. Don't have a bald head like this. Get out there and get a mullet. If you're new here, we take pop culture that raised in the 70s and 80s with us, put it on the workbench, and see if it still runs. Will that VHS work? I mean, who knows? We will soon find out. And CHiPs, mate, this thing ran. It really did. I mean, compared to a lot of the TV of the time, CHiPs was a great show. You had 2 cool characters, which in real life didn't get along, which we'll get onto. That's a bit of an urban legend. I heard at the time, like, oh no, really? But that's apparently the go. We'll get into that. But on screen, they were rock and roll. They really were. For the kids that didn't know it, CHiPs is an American crime TV show created by Rick Rossner and originally aired on NBC from 1977 to 83, with over 6 seasons, plus a big reunion movie, plus a reboot, which, well, you haven't seen it, it's worth probably checking out. It followed 2 motorcycle officers of the California Highway Patrol, and for a generation of Aussie kids, this was best viewing. And it was on primetime TV. It never really fell from that. At that time, it was something that really went for that time period. And it was. I mean, we followed these guys for that reason, and it was it was family television at the same time, but it was a real bloke show. I mean, we liked fast cars, all that sort of stuff. As I said, as a youngster, it was all about, the action, the car chases, the bikes doing all these stunts. And, a lot of that comes from my love of, vehicular action, thanks to the original Mad Max. And I think people I know were involved in Mad Max 2, and then obviously the great work they did on further Mad Max movies. But the best was still number 2, and even some of the gags on the first film are still brilliant. That first car chase in Mad Max is such a the Knight Rider one. There's nothing better. It really is the pick of the bunch. I mean, this was what it is. But then you got to know the characters in CHiPs, and that was the great part of it. So what the hell was it? So the pitch is dead simple, really. At the end of the day, Larry Wilcox, Eric Estrada, Robert Pine, yes, father to, of course, Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise, Tom Riley, and a rotating roster of all these blokes from California, basically. It stars Eric Estrada in the lead as this macho, rambunctious officer, Frank Llewellyn Poncharelli, or Ponch, and Larry Wilcox as his partner, Officer John Andrew Baker, working out of the LA batch down there. And, of course, the lovable boss, Joseph Gatrea. Gatrea, yeah, hopefully I've said that right. Played by, of course, Robert Pine. But the genius of it wasn't really a cop show. And I think you look at any of the other great American police shows, even the Australian ones we've had out here. There's some great Aussie ones too out here. Don't have quite the good stunts though. I'll give them that. But the great thing about it is the characters. I mean, you look at The Rookie. It's a great show. And not just for Fillion. I mean, the whole crew and the cast are fantastic, and CHiPs had that to that sort of degree. It was such a great one too. Real cop shows, have paperwork and domestic violence calls, but in this CHiPs was different. It had a roll call where basically the captain warns them about a gang stealing cars by staging fake accidents. Right. We also Ponch and Jon pull over a bloke with a truck full of chickens. Like, when does that happen? And then there's also another plot always where the officer mechanic Harlan is hiding a stray dog from the Sarge. There's a 10-minute freeway chase. It ends where 12 cars are exploding while they're full of petrol and dynamite. And Ponch trying to impress a bikini model by jet skiing, completely stacking it. Freeze frame, everyone laughs. Of course, credits, boom, down, done. It's one of those things. It's really part of getting that feel. And that was almost every episode. It was light comedy wearing a cop uniform. It kind of Baywatch almost to a certain extent, and we loved it. It was listed as crime drama, but in reality, it was Baywatch on wheels. And long before, somebody that was Knight Rider, the other Knight Rider folks, and went to obviously play that role in the Baywatch later in the 90s. So for us out here in Australia, it was a show that was on the 7 network. And it broadcast the series nationwide in its entirety with 1 episode per week, usually in the prime time of 7:30 p.m. slot. Now, if I remember right, it was on a Tuesday. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. That's what I remember from it back in the day. It was something like a Tuesday, maybe a Wednesday night. And that's prime time. For us on the Gold Coast, it was on the Colour Machine 7 era. So you come in from outside, sweating, mum's whinging about dinner, going, get down, go and have your pork chop and salad. And that's where Ponch is grinning in the background on that little CRT TV. And, for us, ours wasn't little. We were lucky at the time. We had a pretty damn big thing, this big, huge, Pine TV, whatever it was. But the CRTs were cool, they weren't huge screens, but it was a piece of furniture, It was such a brilliant part of us growing up. And actually, you get to see a lot of that. We talk about the CRTs in Lethal Mullet, A Life in Film, coming out in about 2 weeks, folks. I can't wait. Finally get that book out there, and then we'll look at book 2, which is going to be Lethal Mullet, a look and guide to martial arts films. Yes, we're going to talk about my other big love outside of action films. It's going to be good. I'm really looking for that. There's so many great TV shows which did the same thing, which, really looked at, a rotating roster. I mean, Rookie does it too. And a rotating roster of, wouldn't be leads so much as, background talent. I mean, even TJ Hooker. Was that the one that Shatner did? That one he did with, was it Heather Locklear and all that? So there's another one. I don't remember that one as well. I know that was on TV a lot here. But same with, was it Hill Street Blues was the other one that was, God, that went for years here in Australia. And then once it finished, they reran it. Like Dallas. All these great TV. So, it's crazy. So who came up with this idea? So a guy called Rick Rosner, and of course, it says created by Rick Rosner, so it's happened. In 1998, in a TV Guide article, show creator Rick was a reserve deputy with the LA County Sheriff's Department. During a coffee break on an evening patrol shift in the 70s, he saw two young CHP or CHiPs officers on motorcycles themselves, which gave him the idea for the series. Basically, saw the partners on the job, if you like, which is an interesting idea to see. Like screaming down the freeway. Which we have that out here in Australia too with the Queensland Police, and that's a hard job, especially on our freeways out here, as busy as they are and as road ragey as the Australian roads are. And I tell you, they're horrible at times, folks. Hats off to all those that serve in the police that have to do all they can to obviously make those roads safe. It's hard. I mean, the real reality of the job, it's a bloody hard job. So much thanks to him. So he wasn't a TV executive, this guy. He was literally on a smoko break, as we say in Australia, so a lunch break. Smoko, as in having a smoke. He saw these two good-looking guys on blokes that were on the bikes, and he goes, "Oh, that's a great idea. Let's make a TV show out of that." And guess what? He did. So he's right. NBC was looking for something to replace the gritty cop shows like Starsky and Hutch. I can't even remember watching that show. I know I've watched the Owen Wilson and that one they did, which was kind of a piss take of Starsky and Hutch, really. And all I remember of Starsky and Hutch is one of them directed The Running Man, Arnold's movie. Come on, run now, because otherwise they're going to get you. Yeah, that guy. But, I mean, that's what it was all about. So they wanted Sunshine, California, and they wanted slow-mo. And they got plenty of it on that show, too. So Rosner gave them the most California show ever, and the freeways are the set. And interesting is about that, too, is that the star is California. We don't have freeways like that out here in Australia, or highways like that. Ours are more open plain. We don't have all these zeroing different ones coming into one area, zooming out there. There's parts of our major cities that have that sort of stuff, but not like in that area. And that's what I think is a little bit different. We don't have that like especially California has. I think it's predominantly there that you see that. So let's talk about the main guys. Obviously, the bromance of Ponch and Jon. Now, as a kid, these guys are the coolest dudes out, and to have mates like this would have been awesome. Just imagine myself like this, on one of those cool bikes, on a quacker, as we say out here in Australia. Quacker is a Kawasaki. Kawasaki, very good brand of motorcycle from Japan. Like anything, they get the greatest technology and they just improve it. They really do. And that goes with everything. It's such an amazing thing to see, revision, but given to the standards that you do, and you get a great result like a Kawasaki. It's just, I'm not a big bike rider. I've done a little bit of it. I've come off them enough. But I know that Kawasaki's a beautiful bike. So we'll get in that a little bit later about the bikes themselves. But, here's the great thing about it is on screen they were perfect opposites. John Baker, played by Larry Wilcox. He was the blonde All-American, and he was a Vietnam vet in this too. So one of the interesting facts is that he was one of the first positive portrayals of the Vietnam vets on TV. And Wilcox actually served as well. So there's that too. And, you know, as a son of somebody who served in Vietnam in the Australian Army, you know, we always give back to those that served and thank them for the service first of all. So that comes first and foremost. But he's level-headed, doesn't, you know, take chances. And this is the guy that you want your family to know. This is a really, you know, straight-up person. Would do anything to help anybody. Great character, good, and well played by Larry. You know, from what I remember of the show in its entirety, it's probably my favourite character, you know, without a doubt. Then, of course, we've got Ponch, played by Eric Estrada, which, you know, I think is very cool. There's no getting around it. He's a very cool character in this as well. And, you know, I always thought, for these two, obviously, you know, they seem to gel really well. Or did they? Which we're about to talk about. So, Eric Estrada, dark hair, beautiful hair, actually, by the way. Wish I had hair like that myself. Who was from Spanish Harlems, and he had this beautiful smile. And he was trouble-prone, hot-headed, always late, always trying to pick up women while directing traffic. And he was the cool guy, the guy you wanted to be. But here's the difference. Off-screen, they bloody well hated each other. This is one of the greatest open secrets of 70s TV, and they had zero chemistry when the camera stopped. Estrada was becoming this kind of sex symbol on TV. He was on the cover of all the magazines, demanding more cash for his appearances and more close-ups. Wilcox was a serious actor who actually did his own stunts, although Estrada was a bit of a diva, you know, a bit of a diva. Didn't want to do this, didn't want to do that. And he was never there. He was always not turning up, apparently. But somehow it worked. In the 5th season, Estrada went on strike and went on a dispute over the syndication profits of the show itself. And as a result, he did not appear in 3 episodes. For that period, a certain Jenna, shall we say, joined the show for 3 episodes only. So, yeah, something interesting that a lot of people don't know. Then the real thing, that despite their successful pairing on screen, Wilcox and Estrada did not always get along behind the camera, and they managed to have producers fire Wilcox before the 6th and final season, who was replaced by Tom Riley, who played Bobby Nelson. So, I mean, it's interesting. It doesn't feel right that happened too, and I do remember the change, and it wasn't right. So imagine that. You get the co-leads fired, season 6 without John feels wrong. It's like Dukes of Hazzard with no Duke. I mean, you just can't have it too. And that's where it gets, you know, crazy. Like, that's just doesn't make sense. Why would you do that to your show, you know, and especially to your audience? So the bikes, the stunts, the freeways that didn't exist yet. So the show, you know, lives and dies on its hardware. First of all, in chips they rode Kawasaki Z1Ps and Z900 C2 police motorcycles, both in season 1 and season 2. And the KZ1000 from season 3 onwards. Those were big bikes, big road bikes. If you're in 79, that sound was everything. The big revving of the motors. And your dad wanted you not to have one. Well, I mean, my dad never let us have bikes. My stepfather, however, he had bikes. But I do believe he had Hondas, Honda Shadows and stuff like this. Beautiful bikes. Honda makes some brilliant products, by the way. There you go. The police cars were the Chip Cruisers. All were made by Dodge, specifically 78 and 74 Dodge Monacos. They're actually actual Chip Cruisers brought in by the police for the show. Now, the stunts, the Chips stunts were insane. Every episode ends with a pile-up that would make even Michael Bay cringe and go, oh my God, cars flipping over and over, caravans exploding. No CGI, but how do they do it on a TV budget? Well, they cheated. So here's what happened. Production made use of freeways in the LA area that had been recently completed, but not yet open to the public for season 1. The intersection of Interstate 210 and California Route 2 in La Canada Flintridge was often used for that part too. Season 3 to 5, they used a different area too. So they literally filmed on brand new freeways that were not yet open to the public, so they could shut them down and smash 15 cars into each other like it was nothing. So that's why their chase scenes look so wide and empty, because they were. It's the most LA sort of idea out there. And yes, the boys did a lot of their own riding. Estrada, fun fact, he'd never ridden a motorcycle before. He did an 8-week course before and still crashed. Apparently he still crashed badly. In 79, he stacked it while filming, broke both wrists and a bunch of ribs as well, and they had to ride into the show because, I mean, he's one of the stars of the show, so you got to still show it as well. But, I mean, yeah, it is dangerous to ride bikes, especially if you're doing it at speed like that too. So, can't do chips without police station. The Sergeant Getria, or Getria, I can't wrap my tongue around it, folks. Robert Pine, still working today, still the ultimate TV dad boss, and the guy is permanently there. Officer Arthur Grossman, played by Paul Linke. Grossy, as they say, the overweight desk guy who ate his way through 6 seasons. And then there's the women. Chips actually tried for the time to have Officer Cindy Carhill, then Bonnie Clark, played by Randy Oakes, who is basically a legit sex symbol in her own right for the time. And then also Kathy Linehan as well. But there's some people in there that you may see and think, oh, I think I know that person. And one of them be Officer Jebediah Turner, played by Michael Dorn, would you believe? Yes, Michael frickin' Dorn. Worf himself was in the show. Yeah, so check that out. He even talks about it in a podcast recently too. So there's that out there too. Much of that. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's just crazy. So why do we love it out here straight? Why it still hold up? Well, I can tell you this. 7:30 on Channel 7, everyone's watching it over dinner. Your mum, your dad, you, your sister. We loved it. 79 to 83, we're in love with America because California was this sort of fantasy land. We had Holdens, they had Monacos that exploded, and we had the Pacific Motorway with 1 lane. They had 10-lane freeways. It was like this completely insane idea. How the hell do they have so many lanes? Now we pretty much have that here too, but it's taken, 40 years. Ponch and Jon were living the dream. Sun, surf, sand, no helmets, and, well, chip helmets, I guess, instead. It's also, mum and dad didn't mind you watching chips. There was no blood. Criminals were goofy. And the worst you got was Poncho's tight pants, and, mate, those pants, I mean, it's crazy. How they didn't tear them. Because it's kind of like the pants from, like, Battlestar Galactica almost. The thing is, rewatching it's a bit hard. Does it hold up? Well, here's the thing. Here's where Mullet has to come down to the crunch. Because we love this show. There's no getting around it, but does it really hold up? So for the vibes itself, the time capsule, the 80s thing, the 70s thing, yeah, sure, it's all there. However, this is the thing. It doesn't have that sort of polish that you would see in a modern show. However, you could smell the suntans. You can smell the road, the bitumen, the exhaust from the bikes. The stunts are real. What you're seeing is real. It's really fucking happening, like it's, when those pileups happen, the shit's on, man. Like, it's really happening. And that's what's great about it. It really is an amazing, thing to watch. And, those shows from the 70s that did a lot, even Starsky and Clutch. Any of those guys did that too. So the only thing, the disco scenes are cringe. Ponch's pickup lines are just, you wouldn't get away with it these days. And I think that's the thing is, some of Ponch's stuff is a bit cringe. It's one of the last shows where 2 blokes could just be mates, ride bikes, and solve crimes. And that's what they did. It's crazy. And that's what we love about the show. It's just one of those things. So, chips, folks, where does it sit? Well, after 139 episodes, 6 seasons, 1 pair of the tightest trousers in TV history. If you've never rewatched it, go get it. It's streaming right now. The whole box set's out there as well. Probably wouldn't pay for the whole box set. Just stream it. Roller disco's in there. If it's 2-parter with a disco fad, ate the show. And I mean, really ate the show, folks. If you dug this, chuck of course, a 5-star review after this, of course. Wherever you're watching this, whether it's on, or if it's on YouTube, give us a review on there. If it's on Apple, give us a bit of a review. Give us 5 stars if you enjoyed it. Or, if you didn't, don't. But Chips, on the Hallenbach scale, gets a whopping 3 stars out of 5. Those 2 I'm taking away because, it didn't date quite as well as it should have. Now, next up on, of course, Lethal Mullet. When we're talking TV, we're going to be heading to Moonbase Alpha. Oh, boom. That's right. Look, I even chucked Kevin in there. Kevin and Koenig's in the back there going, yeah, Kevin, Carl, oh, Adam. But yes, we're going to be out there with our little remotes, apparently. This show, look, I love it. I love Space 99. As much as I laugh at it too, it's such a funny bit of TV. But I mean, gotta say, George almost stole the idea for the Eagles. Georgie, we know who you are. Mr. Lucas, you ain't stealing that idea. No. No, you are not. Not today. Otherwise, you'll be copying it. And you'll be copying it like that. Now, of course, before we go, we'll let all of you know to check out all of our shows on, of course, fbnet.podbean.com and here, of course, at the Facebook page. We are, of course, Lethal Mullet. And, of course, stay tuned because, yes, we'll be doing Simon & Simon in a week or so. Check out, of course, the Kroll episode, which is up on Rewind. Check out Chips where you can find it. Stream it. Check it out. It's awesome. It is cool, folks. It's bloody fun show for what it was. But get ready for the cringe. All right. That's us for tonight, folks. We'll catch you next time on, of course, Lethal Mullet. For now, get out there and get driving. Enjoy.